Welcome to the Daily MBA, where business wisdom is served fresh and fast, straight from one of the top MBA programs in the world. I'll give you summaries of my lectures and readings, as well as the most important insights gained from an MBA, so you can apply all of this knowledge in every business. Let's get started. Today, I have the honor to interview Danish Yusuf, CEO and founder of Zensurance. Before Zensurance, Danish was a leader in McKinsey's digital financial services practice, focusing on both insurance and banking clients, and he helped streamline operations and improve customer experience by building and sustaining their digital capabilities. Now, with Zensurance, Danish and his amazing team provide an innovative insurance solution for Canadian small businesses, offering amazing rates that can be up to 35% less than what competitors offer, giving their customers the confidence they need at the best possible price. Coming from the insurance industry, I am extremely happy to be with Danish here today. And so, Danish, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, the first question I want to ask is related to the beginning of Zensurance. So, you were working at McKinsey, also known as the Golden Handcuffs, I would say. So, what took you from being there to becoming a founder and then starting this company?
Definitely a very tough decision. I loved my time there. I learned a lot, and they invest a lot in their people. And so a lot of what I'm doing now is based on what I learned while I was helping the clients over there. And I remember a few years in to the McKinsey life, I felt, okay, maybe I want to do something on my own. And I would create a spreadsheet to calculate the net present value of the McKinsey career versus different startup ideas I was exploring. And when you calculate that, you just, a good job is always going to give you a higher NPV than the startup life because of the discount rate you have to apply to any startup outcome. The probabilities are so low. So that took me a couple of years to get over. And finally I said, well, you can't do it for the money. Yes, there's the financial outcome. There's definitely you want to be motivated by that too, but it has to be many other things. So finally, I got over that calculation. I said, let me go do something. Insurance happened to be the area I was working on most for the last couple of years prior to leaving. And so that's why it was the insurance industry that I picked.
Okay. And I have one big question because I was also working in insurance before. And my biggest surprise was that you chose small businesses for your startup. So why did you choose small businesses?
It was the least developed when it comes to digital distribution. It's seen as too complicated because a coffee shop is different than a carpenter versus a paralegal versus a consultant. So everyone is quite different. Versus, say, auto insurance in Ontario, it's regulated. Everyone sells the identical product. The rates are filed with the regulator. So it's a really, really standardized product. It has a different set of challenges, but the product itself is pretty straightforward. Small business, on the other hand, not only is it complex, nobody had cracked it in Canada, even other countries, it was relatively new, but it was a very profitable product from a loss ratio perspective. So it's when you look at the segment from a loss perspective, it is probably one of the most profitable segments. It becomes unprofitable because of the expense it takes to sort through it because of the complexity. Mm-hmm. And so we were thinking, okay, we can tackle the expense side through automation, digitization, straight through processing. And if the loss ratio is good, not the area that we were experts in, let's keep running with it. So that's really why it was. Even at that time when we launched in 2016, there was one early company in that space in Canada, a few in the US. The UK was much further ahead. So we knew it's possible because others were doing it elsewhere.
What's 2FA security on Kraken? Let's say I'm captaining my soccer team, and we're up by a goal against, Soda Springs FC. Do we relax? No way. Time to create an extra line of defense and protect that lead. That's like 2FA on Kraken, a surefire way to keep what you already have, safe and sound. Go to kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Interactive Inc., PWI DBA Kraken. View PWI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
Ready to launch a career and future you can be proud of? Welcome to Merrill, where an industry-leading advisor training program will help you get licensed And with lead gen support from Bank of America's vast customer base, you'll get the referrals you need to establish your own practice. It's time to see your career charge forward with Merrill. Apply now at careers.bankofamerica.com. Copyright 2024 Bank of America Corporation.
And so we took a jump.
Amazing. I was working in Latin America. I am from Colombia, and in Colombia it's the same. We also have, I would say, a big gap in small businesses. It's always offered to big companies, but I guess for Colombia it's the same. Like in Latin America, we're always looking to North America to see the future. So seeing your success, it's like it is going to be possible probably for a startup in Colombia to also be like this and start offering this business to small insurance. So also one thing,
one more comment on that. At the time, people would say, hey, look, you're crazy. If it was doable, people would have done it already. And there's a lot of reasons why it still existed the way it was, a lot of existing incentives to make it less attractive for people to change it. But the trick is, and with most startups ideas, if everyone thinks it's a great idea, it might not be a great idea. It has to be a bit counterintuitive. There has to be a mix of people saying, look, you're crazy. It's not doable. And then you have to be right too, right? Eventually you have to turn out to be right. And that's where the big outcome comes. If everyone thinks it's a great idea, it's probably too obvious. Many others would have been tackling it. So whether you're right or not, the outcome is likely not going to be that great. So it's a good thing when
when the gap exists. Exactly. When not everyone has been doing it, it's a good thing. And I think your company is also the proof that it's a successful place to go into, because Zensurance has won multiple awards, including the FinTech Business of the Year, Canada's Top Growing Companies, or Technology Fast 50. And I would dare to say that it's Canada's top Insurtech right now. So I wanted to know if you have strategy on how do you do it? How have you built up a fast growing company to lead up to this point?
First thing I'd say, there's a lot of luck involved. I look back at all of the breakpoints where things took a very positive turn. Yes, we were ready. We were working hard. There's a lot of effort, but we needed that lucky break, whether it's bumping into an investor at a certain event, or the economy changing and something happening, or someone exiting the market. So there's a lot of points where there's luck involved. A few other things, I would say luck is there for everybody, no matter what. Someone says there's no luck involved. I think that's wrong, but you have to be prepared as well. So a few things that we did to prepare for the point where the luck came through. Focus. We were always focused on the small business segment in Canada, direct to the business owner. So 8.5 years, same focus. There are other companies that looked at the US and Canada. They looked at personal and commercial. They looked at direct and intermediated, so selling to brokers. So a lot of different focus areas. You need even more luck and even more money to be successful when your focus is broader. It's possible, and others have done it, but it's just we continued to focus on one area. I'd say there was an element of just being really persistent. So yes, we had the single focus and then very persistent. Lots of negative things happen, lots of bad luck, lots of unfortunate things happen with whether it's people related or it's market related, investor, insurance company, just maintaining that focus and continuing to work hard through all of those negative times. And then having good investors makes a big difference. When COVID hit, everything was shutting down. We were still able to raise capital 3 months into COVID when everything had frozen. Wow. So 6 months later, everything was being funded, but in that first 3 or 4 months, nothing was happening. But we were able to close that funding round, and it's because of really good investors.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with what you're saying. Probably a narrow view is going to help you succeed when you are building, especially a startup, because you have to be very focused on your segment, like on your strategy. So congratulations on that, and also on your investors. And when I was browsing through Zensurance, I saw that you also have some things that are superior to competitors. And I wanted to go deeper into some of these advantages. And probably the first one that I saw is, of course, your pricing. So Your top phrase in your ads is, "Are you overpaying for business insurance?" Which I really like. But I was wondering, how do you manage to offer this lower prices compared to competitors?
Sure. And it's on average, we found that we are generally more competitive on price, but more importantly, the coverage side. So it's not about price and you sacrifice coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not 100% of the cases will be cheaper, but in most of the cases, and I'll come back to your question of what do we do to enable that. The thing is, you survey all of these people and customers, and we have all kinds of surveys going out. Everyone always says price is the most important factor to them. As professionals, we cringe a little bit to say, hey, you shouldn't be buying insurance on price, because it's such an important purchase. When there's a flood or a fire or something, that's the point where you'll wish you hadn't skimped on that coverage. So our job is to provide the right coverage, the right limits, provide all the right advice, and then also be competitive on price. And so to your question of how do we tackle that? In many cases, people aren't focused, companies, insurance companies and brokerages are not focused on the small business owner. They will write a home one day, they'll write a car the next day, they'll write a mid-sized business another day, a carpenter another day. So it's not specialization. And that's generally the way the model is when it comes to small business. You can't specialize, you just can't get enough scale. Because we are exclusively focused on that segment, we've managed to get scale. We've helped over 300,000 Canadian business owners over the years shop for insurance and look at the options that they have available. So we have the scale where we can say that's the only segment we're going to do. So the products we built, the wordings in geek terminology, that 100-page document nobody ever reads that defines your policy, we built many of those ourselves, tailored to the small business customer. We price it so that we don't need to cross-subsidize the car insurance or the building insurance or the other segments. That segment that I mentioned is quite profitable. We can price exclusively for that. Mm-hmm. We don't need to cross-subsidize other things. There's a lot of automation. You can go on our website in 10 or 15 minutes. Depending on the type of business you have, you could see multiple prices. You can make your payment. Everything's instant. The documents are issued. And you'll have your documents within 10 minutes of starting the journey, right? You hit the button, everything's done. So the operational costs of running the business are lower too, which we pass back to the end customer. And then the final point I'd say is there's a lot of intermediaries when it comes to insurance. So you might go to an aggregator, then a broker. Typically, you won't have a sub-broker when it comes to small business. So there'll be a single broker involved. The insurance company, there might be a broker between the broker and the insurance company. The insurance company will have a broker to find reinsurance. You might be dealing with it reinsured. So all of these entities, they're adding different forms of value. They're all important in their own way, but it adds costs and delays. We've ended up over the years, this is a very hard thing to do. It took us almost 6 years to get there. We've collapsed many of those elements of the value chain. So we've extracted the margin there. We keep some of it. We pass some of it back to the end customer. So there's a variety of factors going into why we can have high quality coverage. We never want to sacrifice the coverage at a competitive price.
Okay. Two things that you're saying. First, that clients should never be compromising the quality of the insurance they're getting for the low price. Because right. Yes, I do agree that people are usually buying insurance just like the lowest price and not looking at what it offers. And second, that you're offering those tailored services for people. And that's how you're managing to get the best service available, let's say, in the entire market. And also, while browsing into Zensurance, I saw that you offer tailored insurance for many different professions, let's say, and businesses. And I was shocked by this because I have never seen any other players doing this. So I was wondering if you know that other players are doing it, you're the only ones doing it, and that's why this is your advantage? Or how did you decide to do it specifically by profession? And right. Which professions kind of that you started choosing from?
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
So we had to keep it very broad because the marketing that we do is really hard to say, let's target only carpenters or only paralegals, both of whom we really support at a large scale. But the marketing tends to be very generic, whether it's a billboard, whether it's Google or Twitter or LinkedIn. It's very generic. So you already pay the marketing costs when a prospect lands on your website. So if your ability to insure is very limited, your cost of acquisition will be really high because 100 people land on your website and you can only provide services to say 25 if you're quite limited. Of those, you might win a quarter. So 100 land on your website, you only insure 5. It's a really bad economic model. So right from the beginning, we knew we had to be able to support a very wide range of prospects. And then we worked exceptionally hard. We have a whole team dedicated to this to figure out how do we provide services to that next customer. And it's not just carpenter, but it might be a carpenter that works on commercial buildings that are a certain story height of a certain type of work, right? So you have to be able to service all the permutations of that. So it's a constant effort to keep expanding what we can do. There's thousands of different types of business owner types or activities, as we call them, that you could be doing. And we would have seen them before and we would have tailored products to it. It's not always that it's a brand new policy, but it's a slight adjustment or a slight update or a different type of coverage or limit. So it's a constant cat and mouse game of a new thing came in, let's tackle it. For example, 6 months into COVID, we had this new type of business, which was the learning pod. People couldn't go to schools. They were shut down. They would hire a tutor in an environment and you'd be taught by that tutor. It's not just a tutor. There were some additional elements to it you had to factor in. And so we had to quickly respond. And we created a product for learning pods, for example. And that's always happening.
And that's probably an advantage that you have being a startup over big companies that can't adapt or have this flexibility to be offering new businesses, new lines of products. So definitely that's probably one of the things that has been pushing Zensurance to the next level.
Yeah, we can change very quickly. There's also a benefit of Canada versus the US. In the US, commercial insurance is all regulated. So if you want to change a price, you have to submit for approval. Depending on the state, it varies. In Canada, as long as it's non-discriminatory and there's a few things you can't do, you can change the price and the structure whenever you want to. So we can respond to trends really quickly.
Wow, that's very nice. And also, I think a third factor, just after the pricing and the tailored services that you're offering, is the claim part, or like the claim services, because most insurance companies are, of course, helping you get the insurance. But then when something happens and you actually want to claim the money, most people don't know that this is a very long, stressful, and like tedious procedure in order to get your money. So why did you decide to include like this servicing part, let's say, of a claim service in your team?
Ultimately, we're here to pay. Well, we don't pay the claims. We're here to make sure our customers get the right claim payments at the right time. And so we can sell all the insurance that we want to, but if we're not there when they truly need it, we're not doing our job. So we have a team of 3 people. The majority of their time is spent supporting clients through the claims process. Now, as a broker, we don't decide on who gets paid or not. The insurance company does. But we're there to advocate on behalf of the customers with the insurance companies. If we feel like it's taking too long, we have to keep following up. We can escalate. If we feel like a certain claim was declined unreasonably, we can lobby and make the case for the claim to be paid. And there was a case where one of the companies we worked with declined the claim. We went to some partners we had in the industry and we, in an anonymous way, we said, here's the type of claim. How do we make an argument for the client to get payment? We built the argument, went back to the insurance company, and it was an argument they couldn't refute. So the claim ended up getting paid.
Wow.
So that's our job as the broker, to make sure we get the best outcome for the client. We have about 300 employees, 150 are licensed brokers. And so we've got just a general ratio of how many claims can be handled by one person. We keep scaling up that team to make sure that that team provides fantastic service, because that's really what the customer is buying. Not a certificate, not a document. It is the promise to support and pay at their time of need. So that's really what we're here for.
Yes, that's great, because you're offering the entire end-to-end service, from helping the person choose their tailored insurance to then helping them, advise them in the best way possible in case something happens. And
Sure.
I think when I was looking through Zensurance, another of the things that surprised me is that you have really high ratings, which is, I would say, very rare for a financial institution, because I've been working and most of the people giving reviews are awful reviews saying how much they hate it. But for Zensurance, it's the opposite. People have been taking on ratings and they're saying how much they love Zensurance, and it's 4.8 stars on Google, which is a really, really high rating. So why would you say people are loving Zensurance?
Yeah, we're very proud of that rating. We talk about it a lot because that's what we're here for too, just to support the customers. And that's the proof that they're getting what they need. Again, it's not 100% of customers. There's always times where we made a mistake or something was out of our control and the client gave a negative review or a bad review. That's fine. On aggregate, we've gotten some really good reviews. I'd say the bar is pretty low when it comes to insurance. People are not expecting a good experience. Mm-hmm. We'd like them to have one, but on average, in total across the industry, it's not an area where it's known for customer service. Unfortunately, it's kind of like telecom or cable. You only complain when it goes well, and 90% of the time things do go well. But you don't tend to give that review when it goes well. People tend to give a review when things are not going well. Yeah. We proactively ask our customers, hey, if you enjoyed the service, please consider giving us a review. Sometimes they name the particular broker that helped them as well. And it just makes their day to see a customer particularly name the broker and say, so-and-so gave a fantastic experience. And we celebrate that internally. We have a channel. As soon as we get a 5-star review, there's this automation. The review is posted internally and everyone starts celebrating, especially if they name a particular broker. So even our brokers are incentivized, not financially, but just that internal pride to ask customers, hey, if you like service, please consider giving us a review.
That's very nice. And just as we're getting closer to the end, I wanted to ask you, what comes next for Zensurance? Do you have any big projects in mind?
The majority of our focus continues to be the same as it was 8 years ago. That small business owner, provide a fantastic service, be there for when they need claim support, add more and more business types, more coverages, etc. So the majority of our focus continues to be there. We are looking at a different distribution model where we make our products available to third-party brokerages to then sell to the end customer. You might say, hey, you're competing against yourself. Not really. We think it's a different segment that buys online, which is the main segment we serve, versus that segment of the customer that still wants to go to a human broker. Either it's physically or the person they've known for a while, they live down the street, they're at their birthday. That's still a big part of the market, which we can't ignore. So our thought is, hey, let's have a different company within the same umbrella, but a different company, different set of people, so completely separate. But leveraging the same type of products and the pricing sophistication that we have to serve other brokerages. So that's an area we're looking at. And over the next year, hopefully that picks up some steam and we'll see where that one goes. That's my big pet project right now.
Okay, that sounds exciting. So hopefully I'm going to leave your link on the website so all of our listeners can go and check out Zensurance. But I had one last question for you. And is, since you're working in this financial industry and like Insurtech space, which problems do you see that exist right now in fintech or Insurtech that need to be addressed?
I'm sure many of your other guests will talk about what AI can do to address many issues. So I will skip that and leave it for other people that are more qualified to talk about that. For us, the big thing we're watching out for is that inflection point where specifically in Canada, you have that mass adoption of new offerings. So I'll give you an example. When I started in high school many, many years ago, the TD Bank branch was very close to my high school. That's where I opened my bank account.
Mhm.
Like 2 decades plus later, I still bank with TD because sometimes they annoy me, sometimes it's really good, but it's so hard to switch. So I'm not the customer that would go open a digital bank account with one of the new startups because I'm just so tied to the incumbents. It's too tough to change. So what we're all waiting for is that next cohort of customers that don't have that level of attachment to start adopting all of the newfound platforms. So Simple is a great example. Lots of people use it, not just millennials. There's Coho for digital bank accounts. That's gaining adoption. We're waiting for that in insurance. Mass adoption, the inflection point where the incumbents really feel the mass adoption of the new products. Waiting for that day. And I think that's what everyone should be waiting for. I think if it happens, or whenever it does happen, it's too late to launch at that point. You have to have been in there, understand it, be ready. We would have been building for a decade, and then we're capturing a lot of that growth, but there's going to be an inflection point, that hockey stick curve at some point. We want to be ready to capture it when it does happen.
For sure. I think Zensurance will be ready to grab all of those customers, probably from my generation, because I'm one of those that are switching up to the best available offer out there. But thank you very much, Danish. This was a great conversation, and I'm very sure all our listeners will be appreciating it. Thank you for joining us in the podcast.
Thanks for including me.